When I was studying for my MCAT, so I had already graduated college. I was studying for my MCAT, and I was doing practice MCATs, and I went to Dartmouth, and like any Ivy League schools filled with like rich pricks, and drugs were rampant. But one of the big things, obviously, in any type of college or drug is going to be the drug Ritalin,
Mm.
which helps with ADHD medications. It's a amphetamine drug, so it helps college kids study longer and for heavier periods of time. It creates focus. It gets rid of a lot of the noise that people have. And so I was like, man, that would be great for me because everybody's like, oh, it's awesome. It helps you focus. It helps you think, you know? And so the funny thing is, Ritalin is an amphetamine. It's like, let's just dumb it down to it's like cocaine. So if you think with an ADHD mind, you're giving them essentially cocaine. You're giving them amphetamine to treat their ADHD.
Mm.
And so people normal that's a kind of a when you think about it, that's kind of fucked up, right? You're like, why would I give this fucking hyper ass person more something to just fucking make them even more hyper? Well, no, it actually has an opposite effect in those people. So if you truly have ADHD and you take Ritalin, it will calm you. It will focus you. It will help your mind stay focused. So I had already, by the time I got into college, my parents already trained me how to like think, how to focus my time, how to sit still, etc. So I was like, man, if I take Ritalin, I'm gonna be like a superhero. And I remember I took it for an MCAT practice exam. So you take MCAT, which is your like medical exam that you have to take to get into medical school. And it's a standardized test. And I was traditionally terrible at standardized testing. So I sat there for this practice MCAT. And the MCAT, it's usually, God, it's been so long since I took it, but it's at least like a 5 to 6 hour test
Mm.
straight. When you take it, I think you get like a lunch break in the middle of it, but it's an all day test. And so I took the Ritalin before I took this like practice exam in the library. And man, I was like next level awesome. Like killed it. Finished the test in 3 hours, like half the time it was supposed to take. I was like, I aced that. I got every fucking question right. I got the worst score I had ever gotten on any practice exam,
Oh,
on any real
shit.
exam ever while on while on the drug, but I had this overinflated self-confidence that I had done more awesome. And, when I went in and actually, like, went back and read studies about it later on, Ritalin will do that to people, where it will make you feel like you're more confident in your answers and standardized testings and know more, but you actually don't know anymore. Then what
Well, because maybe the cognitive thinking isn't there, so
I
you
think
can't.
it's partially that. It's partially
Yeah.
like an overinflated self-confidence and focus, but it's also it's useful for and really truly only ADHD kids.
Mm.
And then if you're studying, it might help. I never took it while studying. I took it while taking a test. So it just showed that I really sucked at studying. Pretty much. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, so that
Wow.
was my Adipex story.
Wow. So you never did it again after that? You're
Never
like,
did it again.
"Forget
I was
that."
like, that was the fucking worst ever.
Yeah. Why would I do that? How does having structure in your businesses play out in your companies now
Mm.
versus maybe when you first started?
Yeah, I guess when we first started, we didn't really have structure, and it was a nightmare. So when I came on board with Genesis, I think Genesis was already almost 10 years old, I think, at that point, and there was 4 locations, and when I really sat down, I wanted to structure everything that we were currently doing, and at that time, we were doing everything on paper charting, which is fine, but the problem was that each location was had a little bit different paper charting, and each location documented things differently. So what it ended up being was, I think back then it was almost 700 documents for probably 20 services total, maybe probably less than that, honestly. When I think back, I think it was maybe 15 services total. We had 700 different documents, 6 or 7 different intake forms, uh, and then 2 or 3 different service forms, 2 or 3 different follow-up forms. for each service. And so I had this Google Drive that literally had all of the documents in it from all these different clinics, and people were putting whatever they wanted in it and taking whatever they wanted out of it, and there was no congruency on anything. And it was just a nightmare because you couldn't train anybody to replace an employee. Say an employee left, you couldn't train somebody easily because there was 50 different pieces of paper that they would have to learn for 5 services. And the systems were not there, not existent. Every location kind of had their own systems and processes, or I would say ways of doing things. Systems and processes is a very, I don't know, I think that's generous in terms of really what it was. At the very beginning, cleaning that all up and streamlining that down allowed us to grow. And I think people don't realize that business owner or person in life is that paring down the extra shit that you have, the extra noise that you have, will make you go faster afterwards. In the time of it, it sucks. Like taking those 700 documents and paring them down to really a total of 50 documents at the beginning was a nightmare. It was terrible. It was a lot of work, etc. And now at the size we're at with roughly 27 locations, 28 locations, I think we're up to now, with the documentation that we're paring down in our electronic medical record system. I mean, we're going from 1,800 services that we have in the system
Ooh.
because the same thing happened. A lot of balloons and a lot of ballooning, a lot of duplication, a lot of extra stuff being put in there. Down to, I think we're going to go down to individually, like maybe 50, 40 to 50 services, and there'll be products and stuff like that underneath that, but going from 1,800 to 50, going through all that shit is a nightmare again, and it's, like, slow and steady, and you're not moving as fast, and you're not doing fun things. You're not doing the fun things like buying new machinery or putting in new services or doing this cool marketing campaign. So it's like all the unsexy work of business is the structure and the systems and the processes, but all the unsexy work in the business is what allows the business or going to allow the business to scale to the next level. So when we did that paperwork, we went from the 4 locations to 12 locations very quickly, I think in less than 2 years. And then we went from 12 locations to 18, maybe 21, and then we went from the 21 to 80, but again, we didn't have the structure built to support that, the 80 locations. So we ended up scrapping all that shit and going back to the 20 plus locations we have now, and now we're rebuilding the systems. Now we're adding a true C-suite of people, who can help run it and their expertise. And so the systems and processes that you build in your business, the systems and processes that you build in your life, they're not, cages or boxes. They're literally the lifeboat that you're supposed to sit on and do it. It helps with speed of movement as well because everybody's going to try and do everything to help. And what that ends up causing is slow down at every single pathway because there's just like 7 hands in the cookie jar, and when that occurs, you're going to move slow because this person's working on it and then this person's working on the same thing. And then they come up with 2 different systems that are completely different from each other and they don't align and they don't work. So it's better to have champions for different services. And I think traction that is one of the lessons in traction. And we've talked about the EOS model where no matter what you're doing, whatever you're trying to implement, there's a champion for that thing and nobody else fucking works on it. But this person is the champion for that specific thing. And so when we started to get the VP of operations on board, the CFO on board, we'll be getting the director of VP of marketing on board. Like they'll be the champions of their things and nobody else is going to touch their shit. Or if they need help, like people will have to report directly to them. It helps move faster. It just does. And, they say that multitasking is just an opportunity to fuck up more shit at once. Pretty much what it is. Because scientifically, you cannot multitask. You just can't. the brain has to it's task switching. You're switching from one task to another. And what it ends up is just two tasks that take twice as long to do than if you just focused on one and then went to the other and focused on the other.
Mhm.
And so the systems and processes, the structure, the discipline, if you will help you grow in your business, will help you grow in your life more than anything else does.
And it creates a sense of freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get bogged down in the chaos. But I think a lot of at least new business owners, and maybe this comes with longevity and maturity in entrepreneurship, you stop equating busyness with success.
Yep.
And you start recognizing that the busy I never I never like saying that now. I'm very cautious. Oh, I'm busy. I'm busy. No, like that doesn't mean you're successful.
Mhm.
And the systems free you up so that you can focus on the things that truly move the needle forward. And the busyness is chaos, but people like living in chaos or they don't know how not to live in chaos. So
Yep.
they don't set the structure. But some of that could be their beliefs around, well, if it's chaotic, then I can tell everybody I'm super busy.
Mhm.
And that somehow means I've created some level of success, which is the complete opposite. Because, like what you're talking about, is you buy back your time,
Yep.
you get that freedom not to go lay on a beach
Mhm.
and sip Mai Tais with your super sexy wife in a red bikini,
Right.
because I saw those pictures.
Yeah,
She was looking pretty fire.
she does.
I mean, it would be hard not to take a day off
Right?
with her running
Yep,
around,
yep.
but it frees you up so that you can start to shift your mindset to the things that are gonna continue to scale and move the company forward.
Right.
Yeah. So, I wanna dive into this one because another thing that your mom has taught you is lead softly, that kindness is power. And this is something that we've talked about through the years and how you've grown and the way you approach certain things or people or conversations, how much that has you've kind of softened
Mhm.
at the right times.
Right.
But it's leading softly. So let's dive into how your mom has taught you what calmness and authority look like.
Yeah, so my mom was and is fiery when she needs to be, but up until that point, she's your typical your typical Latina. She'll say it in a very firm tone, a very firm voice, and then if you keep bucking, she'll punch you in the throat. But before that, there wasn't a lot of screaming, there wasn't a lot of yelling. There was, every Hispanic household will know that, like, if you get pinched, like, right under here, the arm, fuck, that hurts like a bitch, no matter how old you are, and that's a good way to gain control of your child in public. Yeah, pretty much. So
Never did that,
she
but
wasn't,
maybe
like,
I need
yelling. She
to
wasn't
learn.
she didn't yell, she just pinched behind the arm and gave you this look that, like, if you fuck up, I swear to God, I will kill you. And, everybody knew what that look meant, and everybody was like, "Oh, okay, stop fucking around," or, the classic using your middle name in any type of situation, was the time where you knew, like, "Oh, man, I fucked up," or, "I'm about to fuck up." That middle name use. She led through her tone and her looks. That was it. All you had to do was look at her to realize, like, "Okay, I need to stop." That was it. And there wasn't a lot of screaming or yelling or anything like that, and watching her do that taught me that the same thing is, like, it's just the look, it's just the presence, and I see that in people who are very charismatic in that they don't have a lot of well-to-do, they're not super over the top, they're not flamboyant or anything like that, they're just straight up have a presence to them. They have a look, they have a presence, they have a stillness and a calmness to them. They're sure about themselves. And in leadership, that's almost a unwritten superpower to be able to do that, to be able to be calm with that, to be able to be I would say it's a ferocity without having to be like screaming and yelling or things like that. It's just like it's almost a I'm disappointed in you type of thing and a type of look versus yelling at somebody. It's just, and it's the same thing with now in business and I think in leadership in general, where they're going to react and your team is going to react how you react. And it's important that I react and I overreact to things sometimes that are really important, like people fucking lying or people not doing their job when I've told them 3 times to do it, etc. But on the opposite side, there is times where being empathetic is important as well, and having that emotional control is important as well. And it's just like I need you to do this right now. Like people don't want to be yelled at all the time. And that's what I learned early on, obviously, is that people don't want to be yelled at all the time. There was, burning people down and stuff like that was something I used to do a lot. And now I just yell a little time with that. That being said, there is a way that if you have kindness and you focus on that almost every decision that you make, or at least go back to that every decision that you make, then you're going to make more good decisions than bad decisions from that. And so that's kind of how that plays out, I think, when it comes to leadership, business ownership, stuff like that.
Yeah. Kindness isn't weakness,
Yeah.
it's really a strength. When you're talking about being kind and empathetic, how do you balance that with keeping people accountable?
I think accountability and kindness are two, like I am kind, but I'm not nice. Those are two different things. When it comes to accountability, that is literally one of my core values. And not it's a core value in Genesis, yeah, but that is one of my main core values is accountability. Is being responsible for your own thoughts, your own actions, and essentially what you did. Period. If you can't be accountable for that, then you will have lost my respect. Period. So I have vendors all the time that want to blame this or that or this or that. And I'm like, dude, let's be fucking accountable here. Period. Like, you have this job. This is your job. Don't give me excuses why you can't do your job afterwards. Or don't give me excuses why you suck at your job afterwards. Because that's not being accountable. It's, hey, we did this. We fucked up. This is how we're going to fix it.
Mm.
I did this. I fucked up. This is how I'm going to fix it. Or this is my thoughts on the matter. Not like flipping back and forth or any of that shit either, which I hate. I think people have an issue with accountability because they're afraid of being wrong. And like I've told more recently, executives that have come on board, like I've told vendors now when we hire them, I tell everybody now, guess what? I am going to challenge you on everything you say because chances are I know just as much as you in what you're trying to do. That being said, you need to be able to defend what you're bringing to me. Like, I don't want to know that because of your long experience in this, this is what you feel we should do. I don't fucking care. I want, because I've been doing this for 10 years, this is the data showing that what I want to do is going to make sense. Because at this point in our career, we cannot make any decisions based off of somebody's fucking feelings. We have to make decisions based off of data because a decision that is not made off data and off gut feelings or anything like that could cost us millions of dollars at the size we're at. Not hundreds, not thousands. It could cost us millions of dollars. The wrong hire at the executive level could cost us millions and years of work. The wrong marketing campaign, the wrong machine at 20 plus machines, all of that stuff, the wrong decision could cost us millions. So telling me that I think we should do this and having zero data to back it up is not acceptable to me anymore at all. It's just not. And so I challenge people on that. And I tell them, like, if you're going to have this stuff, if you're going to bring this stuff up, then you need to be okay with me challenging you. period. And you could read about any of the greats, business owners and entrepreneurs, and they'll have stories. Everyone will have stories about them challenging every single person in every single aspect of their company. And that's why they have great companies, because they literally challenged every single person. And there's been interviews that say Mark Zuckerberg, like, he is, again, everybody always says, an asshole to work for or an asshole to work with, because if you don't know your shit in and out and he questions you on it and he challenges you on it and he challenges you on your idea, it's going to feel like attacking. But if you argue and you win, you win. And that's what I tell people now. You can argue with me, but you better make sure you fucking win. That's just it. Like, it's not that it's a game. It's that I want you to be so sure of what you are telling me we need to do that I know that you're not going to fail. And it's the same in, let's just say, medical sales or sales in general. You have to be more convincing than your client or your patient is convinced that they don't need your shit.
Mm.
Someone in my company that's going to come up with an idea or a thought or something has to be more convincing to me that this is a good idea or what they're trying to do is a good thing than I am convinced that it's not, and it's not the direction to go in.
Yeah, so it's in the delivery of how you have that conversation, but you still have it. So that's how you can keep people accountable, but do it with a softness and a kindness about it. So you don't have to attack them for being wrong. You can challenge. It's different. It's
Yeah,
different. But you can keep people accountable while still being kind
yeah,
in the process.
absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's also another thing, when somebody comes with data, it's a lot easier to say, like, hey, I don't think that's the right way. This isn't the right way to go about it. That's a lot easier to kind of separate from the individual than no, your idea sucks,
Yeah, yeah. There's
which
no
feels like an attack, a
you get
personal
you
attack.
get rid of the feelings.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody brings you an idea, whether you hate them or not, and the data all points to this is a good idea, then you should do that idea.
Yeah.
And whether you love a person and they bring you idea and the data always, all points to this is a bad fucking idea, don't fucking do the idea. Like,
Mhm.
it gets rid of all emotion. And that's what you're trying to do as a business owner, or as a leader in general. You're trying to get rid of all the emotion out of it. You just are. And people say, well, that's heartless. Well, if you have two team members that hate each other underneath you as a leader, and you like one and you don't like the other, you're already going to have bias towards one versus the other. Instead, what you have to do is you have to listen to both sides of the story. Then you have to remove your feelings from it and say, okay, if I was a third party person who had zero dog in this fight, who would I feel would be right? That's how you have to lead. And then you have to get them in a room and make sure that they're, that they can at least work with each other. They don't have to like with each other or even go home and hang out with each other. Doesn't fucking matter. Like, I don't care about that. I don't hang out with my employees. Like, you just can't.
Mhm.
You have to maintain that neutral third party, and you can still be kind to both sides, but you could have, but that allows you to remove the feelings from that. Removing the feelings from decisions is the best thing you can possibly do in business. Removing all feeling. And that's one thing that I've learned as we've grown more and more, is that the less I feel, the better the decisions will be. The less I feel and the more clear I can think about third party, is this a good idea or not, based off the data, and just run in the direction based off data, the better the decision making is.
Well, as we come to the fifth point of what your mom has taught you over the years about grace, grit, and growth, how that looks in your businesses and all that you have accomplished. The final one is always taking pride in how you present yourself. And what I'd like to know is what habits have you pulled from this teaching from your mom that has helped you run toward building these brands?
I think there's that phrase, what is it? Dress for the job you want, not for the job that you have. So I dress up like Batman. No, that being said, my mom was always
Mm.
very well put together. She was very well dressed. She was a bank teller for a while when I think up until my sister was born, and then she quit to raise my sister and I, but she was a bank teller, so bank tellers back then were always very neat and put together and everything, and then she became a notary afterwards, an in-house notary, so she was always very neat going into, houses and doing notary work and stuff like that. But she always pretty much lived the phrase, "Look good, feel good, play good." Where if we walked out of the house, she made sure she was not dressed to the nines, but she was very neat, presentable. And it wasn't about vanity, it was about having respect for what she looked like walking around the house. And Steph, my wife, is the very same way. And obviously she didn't get it from my mom. She got it from herself before, but we can't go anywhere without it taking a fucking hour because my wife has to make sure she is presentable walking out the door. And she sends me all these, Instagram and TikTok things like, "Oh, your wife is your biggest flex, so I gotta look good when I walk out the door." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care. I just wanna go eat a cheeseburger, please, for the love of God." Um, but, like, she was my mom was, like, focused on the details, like, making sure that we look nice, making sure that we look presentable, and I think most parents do that with their kids, um, making sure they dress well or making sure they look good for certain things, For church, we always wore appropriate clothes when we went to church, if it was a sporting event, then we wore different clothes, so you knew that there was structure based off of where you were going. It wasn't you were going to something and you were dressed inappropriately. And I think some structure in that is always really important as you grow. But I think taking pride in who you are, what you're doing, and even nowadays, I only wear black t-shirts and black shorts and black jeans pretty much for everything. And they're always one of my companies or my brand on the t-shirts. And it's just like that's what I want to wear every single day. I have dignity and pride in what my businesses are and what we've done so I wanna wear them every day. It also helps me not act up in public because I got a public, you know, uh, poster on my chest, so if I'm an asshole and they film me, then I'm like, "Well, fuck." Like, we're gonna get bad press.
It's like those cars that say Jesus saves on them, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
flipping
yeah.
you off and cutting you off on
Yeah.
the freeway.
I'm hoping I get to do, like I'm hoping I get, like, posted in one of those, like, "Oh, there was a shoplifter, he tried to run and this guy tackled him," sorta thing, and it would just have, like, Genesis across the front, it goes viral for some good publicity.
We can
Uh,
make it up.
we could do that. That's what people do.
People do it all the
People do that
time,
all the time nowadays
and it
anyways.
works,
We
and it's
should. We should
terrible,
do.
you know it's made up, but they
Yeah.
still have millions of
Yeah. We
views.
should do some guerrilla marketing. We'll have
We
Christian run
could.
out of a store and just beat the shit out of him.
I'll be the person working.
Be like, "Yeah, dude gets the shit beat out of him by Genesis CEO." Send it to, like, Fox News and stuff like that, CNN.
Christian, you didn't know that was a part of the job
Yeah.
duties, did you?
Yeah, just beat him in the hell outside CVS or something like that. Um, no, but, my mom always said the way you or she didn't say this, but she was one of those people that was like, "The way you do anything is the way you do everything. Be very focused in what you're doing. Be very intentional in what you're doing. The work in front of you is your job. The person in front of you is the most important person." And she was always like that. And that was a huge lesson growing up and taking pride in that and focusing on that every step of the way.
Yeah, and it's your sister too. I mean, she's very presentable. She's such a great model of excellence when it comes to how to present yourself in the clinics. I think being a health and wellness clinic, Gianna shows up like somebody you go, "Okay, I wanna look like that. I wanna be fit like that. I wanna have fashion like that," whatever it is. She has a very aspirational way about how she shows up, and I think it's incredible role model for or reference point even for the clinics, the Genesis clinics and the other women in the clinics and, how to present yourself with excellence like
No,
that,
she's
so
she's killer. She's very good. She wants to do that full time, designing and dressing people and stuff like that. I don't even know what that's called. Personal
personal
stylist. Yeah,
stylist.
there you go.
Yeah.
Whatever. A dresser person. Um, so yeah, and she got that from my mom. Really.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
great. You have people that come from all different aspects of life and styles and, ages and body types and all of that. How do you present that in the company? Gianna's doing a great job.
Mhm.
But how do you present that standard in the company without like hurting feelings and making it, you know, feel like tension
Yeah.
if somebody isn't showing up the best that they should be, because it is a reflection of the excellence within the company.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
how
think
do you do that
there's
gently?
there's different sides to it. So it depends on what service you're in. So in our service in the medical field, I used to always get in trouble for not wearing my white coat. And so but I looked neat, but I just never wore my white coat. And so I got in trouble for residency doing that, never wearing my white coat multiple times. It's like, I just don't want to fucking wear my white coat. I think it's stupid. But that being said, people respect the white coat and stuff like that. And so at the beginning with Genesis, we didn't have really a tight, I would say, dress code. And so people could wear what they wanted within reason. Obviously, there weren't like, boobs popping out and micro bikinis and dudes wearing Speedos and stuff like that. But we made sure that they wore respectable clothing. We made sure that they looked respectable, etc. Now that we've gotten bigger and bigger, the problem with that is that everybody's own interpretation of what is professional gets wider and wider and
Mm,
wider because there's more and more people. So even in Genesis, what we're doing is creating an all new, this is our new protocol when it comes to clothing. This is how we have to look. This is how we have to show up. This is what you have to do. And those are just rules and boundaries that are in place. Now, if somebody doesn't like it and they want to wear certain things, cool. You can wear them outside or you can find a new job at that point. Because when you do get big enough, there's always going to be one that thinks that a certain type of clothing is professional and it's not. And a lot of times when people go based off price, so well, my ripped jeans are $250. Okay, yeah, but they still have a ton of holes in them and you look unprofessional. So leaving your team to decide what is professional or unprofessional at work is just going to cause issues in the long run. You need to have a dress code at some point as you scale and as you grow. If it's just a small group and you are still looking professional and you're being professional to a degree, you'll be fine. But as you get larger, more locations, more services, more things that you're doing across the country, you need to start creating boundaries and rules based off of it. And again, it's not a hurt your feelings thing. It's not like, oh, you can't have that specific color hair and you're only attacking one person.
mm,
You're saying, "Hey, colored hair has to be this done professionally. It can't be grown out. It can't be X, Y, and Z sort of thing." So you create rules based around that for everyone. And if some people get personally offended by it, well, it's just like uh, when you say something generically and somebody personally takes offense to it. Well, they personally take offense to it because they felt like it was written about them. It was really more about them and their inability to realize what you're trying to do. And it's the same thing in the systems where like one of the things we'll probably do is no like half zip jackets or random jackets that aren't Genesis approved jackets because some of the clinics get cold and get it, but then people just throw on random
mhm.
jackets and they're kind of like draped off of them. Some have hoodies, some don't. Some have weird prints and some don't. And so it just looks unprofessional, like you're a bum off the street just threw a jacket on in the clinic. And so it doesn't look neat. It doesn't look professional. And that's what we're trying to create when we're in Genesis is that Ritz-Carlton feel and that Ritz-Carlton look. I mean, you go in there, you're not gonna have somebody at the Ritz-Carlton that is dressed in a, half open zip hoodie that is a weird pattern. You're just not. And so it's the same in your business is that what business you're in is what business you have to dress for. I mean, and again, certain companies are not gonna have issues like that. I mean, if you have a construction company, your contractors are gonna wear jeans, their steel-toed boots, and probably a flannel or a polo because that's what they gotta wear every single day.
Mhm.
That's just what they have to wear safety wise and things like that. So you might not have that issue in many businesses, but if there's a certain way you want your staff to dress, then you need to communicate that and everybody needs to show it. And then you also need to dress like that when you go into the locations. When you're walking into the locations, when I do the hair transplants, I wear my scrubs and I have my hair nice and neat and I wear my, black sneakers in that are, very clean and neat. That's what I wear when I do my hair transplants. Other than that, I can wear whatever I want outside the clinic.
Yeah. How we talked about some incredible things that have impacted your business over the years and even how it started versus how it is today and the things that you've learned along the way and that your mother has helped guide you on. W- How much of this do you think could have impacted the success or the pace at which you grew if you had some of these things figured out at the beginning versus waiting 4, 5, 6 years to get here? Like the dress code, for example.
Mm,
Do you think it would have impacted the business at the beginning?
no, I don't think it would have made any difference. Like, things happen at the time they're supposed to happen for the reason they're supposed to happen.
Mm,
Like, building a system and process that would have worked at the 4 clinics we had or even the 10 clinics we had would have broken at 30 clinics at some point. Um, and so, I mean, it's not that the dress code is insignificant, but that is one of those things where you could still get to I mean, I know colleagues that have very large companies and they still don't have any type of professional dress code or anything like that. So, do I think solving those problems like that would have made a difference? No, I don't think in the very long run it would have. I think solving the problems of the systems and the processes earlier absolutely
mm,
would have made us move faster and grow better. But man, every single entrepreneur that I know has gotten into that, or at least really successful entrepreneurs that I know have gotten in trouble by growing too fast. Almost all of them have, like, grown too fast. It's a concept of growing broke, where you grow so fast that you just essentially run out of money.
mm,
It's not that you're not making money, it's that you're just growing so fast that you're spending money to improve systems and processes when your income has not caught up to the new systems and processes that you're implementing price-wise. And so there is a concept of most companies are not going to, unless it's an IT company or an AI company, which nowadays will grow overnight in 12 months, to $1 billion company with 5 people. You're not going to build a brick and mortar company, um, overnight. It's going to take years and years and years and decades. And Genesis, we compare ourselves to the big boys in our space, Ideal Image, Laser Away, Milan Laser, VO Health Spa, and they've been around 20 years or more, almost all of them. And been sold and bought by private equity multiple times over. And we're still private. We're still, we're probably one of the, largest groups of still privately owned med spas and continuing to grow. One of the only few that isn't one of those big ones that is bought by PE that owns pharmacies as well and owns verticals. So there's a lot of things that in the 6 years that we've been doing this, we've moved extremely fast and broken a lot of stuff. And as a result of that, we've also grown broke in some instances and in some cases where it's just like, this is going out the door far too fast than what we can handle, sort of thing.
mm.
So where I am today, doing things differently, I don't really think about that much because it would just be wasted thoughts for me because it's like, I'm here now. Doesn't really suck. Like, it would I can't really think about what it would be like to do it any other way, and maybe if I did it another way, maybe it would've broken and been fucked a long time ago and never gotten to the size that we needed it to.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
curious. I mean, that question came from my thought around the mastermind and the impact that you're having there with some of these clinics that are at the level of 3 or 4, and at what level, if you're listening and you have a clinic and you're interested in the mastermind, it's like at what level do you go, okay, now it's time for me to put in some systems and processes. And it sounds like it's a very individual journey.
Yeah.
And so that's the nice part about having support because, in the mastermind, you end up having other people that are at the same stage as you. You have people that have surpassed where you're at. You have people that are where you want to go. So there's such a range that you can pull from, experience you can pull from that you can go, okay, this is my next best step.
Yep.
And so, I've been at multiple of the mastermind events and I've gotten to hear the stories that people are sharing and where they're at and the struggles that they have. And so, yeah, so it just made me think about at what point is it right for somebody to step in and go, okay, now let me learn from somebody who's either where I'm at or where I want to go.
As
And
literally as soon as you possibly can afford it.
yeah.
Yeah, you should have a coach who is better than you as soon as you can afford it. And that's at different that will be at different stages in life that you should be paying somebody who is above you, who has done the things you wanna do and can coach you in that every step of the way. At the beginning, it might be a coach that's just like our elite group, which is $650 a month. Again, totally tax deductible, where business owners are trying to figure out their day to day, their processes and procedures and systems, et cetera, like that. And then could be more in depth, like our Empire group, that's $3,500 a month, where we're diving really deep into the next level, the growth, the aspects of it, the coaching and the teaching, and really cleaning up people's businesses and helping them scale at a very fast rate. But then personally, you should have coaches as well that help you grow and help you expand and help you improve. You should be consistently looking for groups like this. And that's why we did create the, Charismatics, and you can go to joincharismatics.com to find out more about that. But as soon as you can afford it, you should be looking for someone better. Just like your parents. I mean, just like my mom. My mom was somebody better than me growing up. And so are my wife and I to our kids. They're someone better than the kids. Like the kids don't know anything, so you have to teach them everything. And it's important that you continue to do that as you get older. You continue to have teachers as you get older.
Yep, you're a great one. Great example of that. I love how much your mom's rules or these things that you've pulled from her. This is the first time we've really dug deep
Mhm.
into your mom's impact, how much that balances your dad's,
Yeah.
and how that has come together to create a really great balance of intense energy and motion forward, but then also this rhythm that she's taught you and some of the more refined aspects. That's super valuable and has definitely played out in a really great way in your life.
Absolutely. My dad was great. He gave me the analytical brain. He gave me the fire, the passion, the anger, and then my mom gave me the artistic side of the brain, the ability to be calm, the ability to dance and do things differently in a different way. So, and she taught me that strength is not always shouting at things; it's that grace under pressure, and that's how you truly can master yourself. And, you know, thank you for my parents being great people and putting me where I needed to be in order to succeed, for sure. So that's all we have for you today, guys. If you liked it, please leave a review, comment, share it with somebody. If you have any questions, always you can email questions at dralexspinoso.com. And we appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.